I sat DK.
Oh no.
Because he's been dog shit.
Right, true.
And dude, 3 touchdowns, 63. And I know we're not a PPR league. It doesn't matter. I mean, he only had 6 receptions for 63. So at the half, I was like, all right, good. I made the right move. He's not doing anything. I check it later on. And I'm like, oh, you ever have that fantasy guilt and regret, especially championship weekend where you're just like, what are you doing, man? You gotta start your studs. But so I'm thankful we have a round 2 coming up this weekend.
The 2-round playoff in fantasy that you were so appalled to even think. You couldn't even foretell it. You were like, oh, what is this peasantry? Listen, 2 rounds. And it may actually be your savior. Oh, Lordy,
this is costing me to 2022 New Year. So I gotta stop. I gotta reflect and realize that God put this in front of me for a reason.
Yeah.
For an opportunity to come back and hopefully beat Tide this weekend. But it's tough, man. When you beat your friend like that, it's just it'll be bliss.
It'll be bliss, especially when Ty bought that stupid ass hat that he was wearing. Sports. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Stuff About Sports. I am the Facebook felon Germ. That's the prettier Corey Burt. What's up, man?
Happy New Year, brother. New Year. Like I am 2022 looks exactly like 2021, but hey, you know what? So much potential. So let's start off on the right foot for sure.
Brandon DeWitt, what up, man? Hey, speaking of Brandon DeWitt, Bucket of Doom Playoff Eliminator Challenge. The first drawings will be next week. We have a couple spots left, so if you want to be part of it, Brandon DeWitt won it last year, so he'll actually be back again this year. I've already confirmed that with him. But 2021 gave us one big last double middle finger, taking Betty White away from us before she turned 100. But then we opened up with 2022 with Antonio Brown and all types of just craziness going on in the NFL. I don't know. It's not boding well for us.
I mean, look, if from a sports standpoint, finishing 2021 for certain sports, it was shaky. Hockey had me scared for a minute. They went early on their break and then they extended their break like by an extra day or two. So just really dumb move by Gary Bettman and the entire National Hockey League, because I don't understand what the extra day or two would have done. But they did. Thankfully, they resumed play, and they're just gonna, obviously keep carrying the taxi squad for them to interchange players for those that go into COVID protocol. Adam Silver right now is looking like the biggest genius in pro sports, along with Roger Goodell and the NFLPA agreeing to terms to kind of lessen, what it takes for COVID within the National Football League too. But Adam Silver, as we mentioned in our last show 2 weeks ago, hey, not showing symptoms, not going to test. If you show symptoms, you test and you call it a day. If not, we're pressing on because they can't stop. And I agree with him. And I hope they carry that into, the next couple of months, and when everybody's vaccinated and boosted, and, it's still happening with Omicron out there. But you know what? We've got to forge on and we've got to press on.
Yeah. This whole thing, hopefully, if anybody's paying attention to the news anymore, looks like it's heading into some type of resolution. Sports seems to be over it. I don't know. I think hockey just wanted to give its guys, while they were going to go on some type of holiday around the holidays, they probably just wanted to give the guys an extra couple days. That's the only thing I can gather, because it didn't really make any sense, like you said, other than
that
it's the holidays. Give a couple guys,
Yeah, that, and obviously the Canadian government being very, very strict with their teams and their teams' travel and everything else like that. So, but look. We're coming into the last week in the NFL, man.
Oh no, bro. It's bad. It's real bad. Week 17, where it actually should be over by now. We'll actually get one more week. And I like how the NFL staggered and put these division games at the end. Because a lot of it's going to actually end up mattering. And it's actually very exciting. And I'm glad they're going to do it. The 17 games to me is cool. It's just one step closer to 18 games because I think we just need 18 games. It's always been odd to me with the extra home game for certain people, it just didn't make sense to have 17 games. But
Yeah.
I like at the end that some of these end games matter. I know a lot of teams are going to rest their starters because, the Browns are out of it. So what are they going to do? Baker Mayfield's already getting surgery. So, he's sitting out. And I'm sure a bunch of the other starters are going to sit out. That team has quit on Baker. It looks like I don't know who's going to quit. I don't know who's going to quarterback that team, man. I really don't.
I don't know either.
But,
that was bad. That was bad. But I will say I'm
bad.
happy for Ben Roethlisberger getting his what ultimately will be his last win at Heinz Field. So
week 17, Bert, who impressed and who disappointed?
Yeah, I mean, no one out of the ordinary, to be completely honest with you. The big, as I just mentioned, Big Ben. I'm happy for the Steelers, in terms of like impressed. Granted, it was against Cleveland Monday night game, but we're talking about an inconsistent Steelers team who's still showing up until the very end, and potentially has something to play for, but it would take a miracle for them to actually get into the playoffs. But my biggest one this week is obviously the Cincinnati Bengals. They are clinching their division, showing up against not last year's Super Bowl champions, last year's Super Bowl contender, and the years prior Super Bowl champion too, the golden team of the NFL that wasn't founded and run by Tom Brady, which is the Kansas City Chiefs. So
right.
Great game. Joe fucking cool Burrow, bro.
Man,
446, 4 touchdowns, a near perfect day. He went monster. To put it in perspective, Patrick Mahomes this, Patrick Mahomes that, highest paid quarterback, the stud of the league, threw almost 50% less of what Joe Burrow did.
Yeah.
Because I think Mahomes finished with like 250 something and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So look, I mean, overall impressive game by the Bengals, and yeah, I mean, getting it done and getting that division taken care of and wrapped up.
Yeah, speaking of winning the division, it's I think one of us actually called that, Bert. I don't know if anybody's been paying attention.
Yeah.
This guy now. Yeah, I said the Chiefs weren't gonna make the playoffs. Whatever. I said some other nut shit. But the
you
one
win
I
some,
was
you
right.
lose some, right?
You win some and you lose some. But I was right about the Bengals, and that was the one everybody laughed at me about. Now,
including myself. And we'll get into this in a little bit when we go over, what team changed your opinion of them.
Right.
But,
yeah. The Bengals right now, I maybe I'm recency bias, but you could make the argument Joe Burrow's a top 5 quarterback. I don't know if I would throw him in there, but he's somewhere in that class picture, in the 5, 6, 7, 8-ish range right now. Joe Mixon, top 5 running back. He's second in yards right now, behind Jonathan Taylor. Jamar Chase is easily a top 5 wide receiver. I believe
has to be after that game. Jesus Christ.
I believe he's second or third in receptions or receiving yards. And they have I can't remember Trey something. He's top 5 in sacks. So they have all the bases covered. I mean, that team is loaded, and the Chiefs should be careful because I could make the argument that the Bengals have better personnel than the Chiefs do. Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase has more yards than Tyreek Hill, who is Kansas City's best receiver. And after Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, there's a cliff. There's really nobody for Kansas City to do anything, which is why we've probably seen them struggle for most part of this year. I mean, but the Bengals, you got Joe Mixon, they got Uzmata, their tight end, they got T. Higgins, they got Jamar Chase. I mean, they have weapons all over the place, and it's showing all over the field for them. So but my impressed is going to be the San Francisco 49ers. Trey Lance coming in. They got the win. He's not ready. I'm going to put a disclaimer. Jimmy G, I don't know what you do next year. I don't think Trey Lance is ready, but he showed you what the future could hold. I think Trey Lance needs another year on the bench to really, he could be Aaron Rodgers. I'm not even like in terms of the guy that will lead you for 10 plus years. I'm not saying he's going to achieve what Aaron Rodgers has achieved. What I'm saying is Aaron Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre more than a year and learned. And I think Trey Lance needs that. Obviously, Jimmy G's not Brett Favre either, but players need to sit on the bench and learn sometimes. Sometimes it takes more than a year. Sometimes throwing guys out there isn't the best. I think Trey Lance will benefit from sitting on the bench and learning and coming in slowly instead of just throwing them out there.
Yeah, I think what we've seen in the NFL is you probably have a higher percentage at a quarterback success rate when they sit and learn on the bench and then go in versus draft high, put them right in there. And I mean, we're seeing that all around the league right now. We saw it all last year too. But when you look at the guys like and granted, it was a different time in football when Aaron Rodgers got his start. You got the eyes like Aaron Rodgers and, even the guys like Tom Brady, learning under Drew Bledsoe too. They sit, they watch, they wait, and then they get their shot. You can't always find a Joe Burrow in the group who's going to come out and have a resounding start. I mean, Tua was supposed to be the savior of Miami. He looks like complete trash out there.
Yeah.
And you can chalk it up to coaching. You can chalk it up to, being rushed into the process. But regardless, I mean, if it's not helping your club win games, like, what are you doing? It's time to reassess overall. I think I don't want to say biggest disappointment because I kind of expected it, but what did disappoint this week is the Giants. And not just because they lost, because as a Giants fan, I anticipated it. And at this point, I mean, why bother winning? You're going to get stuck with a shit draft pick anyways. But my God, did they take losing to a whole, just terrible loser art form is what it comes down to. Mike Glennon went 4 for 11, finished the game with 24 yards and 2 interceptions. Their saving grace was the run game, which split between 3 backs, I think, just under 170 total on the day. Saquon had 104, but the Giants even failed to find an end zone and just got completely smacked around by the Bears. And granted, we'll say Bears being an average team, but I mean, holy shit. When your quarterback goes 4 for 11 for 24, they just look awful. O-line is Swiss cheese. They just don't even look like they want to play. Now, granted, they've been banged up all year. They've suffered COVID like other teams too. But what we're looking at with the Giants is a poorly coached team. So until they get that taken care of, get a whole new front office in there, get a whole new coaching staff in there. Joe Judge has literally second year he's there, coming from a Patriots organization where he's used to winning. He doesn't know how to lose. Right. And when you have a coach that doesn't know how to lose and doesn't know how to get your players motivated, that's when you start to lose a locker room. And I'm questioning his sanity a little bit too with a lot of these media rants he's going on as well. It just doesn't make sense to me anymore, man. Own up to the fact that it's not going your way, look into the future in terms of rebuilding and go from there. But when you come out talking as though you're going to play in the Super Bowl when, you can't really win a game, it's beyond me.
Mike says, love the shirt, Bert.
Look at that.
Sure.
Little shade of the New Jersey Devils and their awful trash jersey, if you will. But got this from Bring Hockey Back. Great site, great group of guys down there based out of Arizona. Great hockey stuff for anybody who's a huge hockey fan. Check them out.
Check them out. Yeah, we had a firefighter during our Halloween kickball game show up in a white T-shirt that had word life written on it. And then he carried around a brown paper bag, and he handed me a lemon.
No.
And I said, whoa.
Oh, my God.
The costume was next level, bro. I was like, oh, man, this is crazy. That's funny. That
puns to a whole new level, man.
He's like a walking dad joke. So the Giants have the 5th and the 8th pick. Probably should go with some defense there.
Or offensive line.
Or offensive line. Yeah, I'm cool. I'm cool with that. Yeah, because Saquon had 66 yards. Kenny Golladay was supposed to be the main receiver. I don't know if that's just a Daniel Jones problem or Mike Glennon problem. That offensive line has been awful. You can't really do anything. And you're right about Joe Judge. We talked about this before with him coming out there. Tommy Toughnuts. Nobody likes that guy when you're losing. Yeah, it's true though. He's sitting there taking shots at teams that are having players fight each other. Which what those players on that team are doing. Also, that team is winning. Yeah, they're going to the playoffs, bud. So I don't know. Yeah. I mean, whatever.
I mean, you have to look at what's happening in Detroit and a guy like Dan Campbell who's able to literally get his team to run through a brick wall after losing, I think, 9 straight to start the season, or something like that. So, I mean, even more now that I'm thinking about it. So, but the fact that nobody wants to. I mean, it's evident nobody wants to play for him. And I mean, shit. I mean, Daniel Jones is supposed to be sidelined during a practice one time, and he's talking to the media, and he's just like, "Oh yeah, no, he's in like protocol, or he's not suiting up today." And one of the media was just like, "He's out on the field, like he has his stuff on. Like what? Did you even know what's going on?"
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's wild to me. It's something needs to happen.
Yeah, Zach Thomas in his second year, it didn't look like anything was going to happen there in Cincinnati, and they win the division. So I'm not going to, you get the third year, he would have to have one of those type of seasons. I don't know, maybe win the division, or at least it would have to look drastically different for them to keep him around. But what I'm saying is, like, you have the guys who are like Dan Campbell, where the team is obviously just not talented enough to win, but you see it, like, you know what I mean? Like Dan Campbell stays the course; those wins are going to come.
Yeah.
And but with Joe Judge, man, like, what are you doing? And Zach Thomas was going to get fired last year. So like I said, I will wait until next year. This is Zach Thomas's third year. The Bengals, they got the quarterback.
His quarterback also went down last year too. I mean, they didn't have a terrible season.
Right. Okay.
The Giants, they go out there, they look like they just don't even want to compete. And at least the Lions have had somewhat of some like competitive games in and out, but man, it's a sad thing to watch. It's like watching an animal slowly die. You just want to put it out of its misery. It's just bad.
That's awful. Disappointment, man. Who am I disappointed in? I don't think I have anybody that I'm really disappointed in, because the teams that lost are supposed to lose.
Yeah.
And teams that weren't supposed, like, the Ravens, right? But Lamar Jackson isn't there. I like Tyler Huntley. He's playing really well. The Ravens actually probably might miss the playoffs, which is insane to even think about.
Yeah.
But you know what? I think I have Washington, and it's not really about their play on the field. Now, I will say I was a big Taylor Heineke supporter. Maybe he doesn't look nearly as special as I thought he did, but I also think there's other issues with that team other than quarterback. But Washington's field has historically been awful. It's like playing on an elementary school playground. People get hurt on it all the time. Last year we had the shitty pipes burst on the fans.
Yeah.
Now we have the guardrails falling on, almost taking out Jalen Hurts for the remainder of the season. Just everything is bad about that team.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, the organization is awful, terrible people. I mean, from the Washington Post article that came out last year about all the sexual misconduct allegations and anything else about everybody in that organization, going all the way up to Dan Snyder, and everybody knows what an awful human being he is. But you're right about their field. And look, we're not sitting here blaming like, oh, it's the field. Like, yeah, we know he's got to play on it at least 50% of the season. We get it, but in those conditions, and it's the same field the other team has to play on. I mean, yeah, it's like, it sucks. It's not nice, it's not, just like driving a beat up car. Like, can you drive it? Yeah. Is it nice? No. Would you drive better in something else? Yeah, probably. But you're right. And I mean, if we're going to dive into that Jalen Hurts incident, that shit's scary.
That is scary. That is scary.
Because not only could have someone in the stands gotten hurt, but Jalen Hurts could have gotten severely hurt if that whole guardrail fell over with at least 5 or 6 people and the weight of them falling on top of them. It's a miracle nobody got hurt, to be quite honest with you. Now, what I will say is, did you have time to read the letter that Jalen Hurts wrote?
No, I didn't read the letter, but I know that he wrote one telling the people telling the Washington to help the people or do whatever the fuck.
So I just saw this a little bit ago. Mike sent it to me, to the point where I was like, yo, this can't be real.
Yeah.
And now I also saw a different angle. So the original angle I saw the video was when he was walking into the tunnel. I saw an angle from the other side and made it look way worse. Like, there was a photographer that could have gotten crushed if he was probably 6 inches inward a little bit, to the point where we actually got pissed at the Eagles fans for like leaning over that much, all to try to touch a piece of flesh of Jalen Hurts, I guess, with a high five. Yeah. But where the photographer even like started kicking people, or at least tried to, until somebody was like, yo, chill. So listen to this, because you saw the video and I want your honest reaction as to how he wrote it versus how the video actually was.
Okay.
To whom it may concern, I'm writing to inquire about what follow-up action is being considered in response to the near tragic incident that took place at FedEx Field on January 2nd, 2022. As you are aware, many individuals, including fans, media personnel, and myself, were placed in a dangerous situation when portions of the FedEx Field tunnel collapsed. I just want to pause there for 1 second. He is setting a stage that is grossly overestimating the situation. Did a portion of the tunnel collapse? Yeah, if outside of the tunnel is the corner seat in the end zone with a little bit of a guardrail, sure, it collapsed.
Yeah, Bert. But But Bert, the trash man is the waste management technician. Like, you got to do that thing.
You got to dress it up. I get it. Now it says, although I was able to prevent the barrier from crashing onto me, and by preventing it, he was walking slowly and it missed him. That's how he was able to prevent it.
Yeah.
That was not the same for others who could have suffered from lingering injuries. That's 100% true. People could have gotten very, very hurt. It could have been very tragic. Honestly, if someone landed the wrong way, they could have fucking died.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I don't want to take that away from him. I just thought how he set in the stage was a little bit much. So he said, through the initial shock, my first reaction was to assist those involved. However, while I displayed a calm composure, I understand the severity of what happened, and I am extremely concerned for the well-being of the fans and the media. As a result, I would like to know what safeguards the NFL and the Washington football team are implementing to prevent this from ever occurring in the future. The resources the NFL and team organizations ensure our safety through playing this physical sport. But what happened on Sunday put both fans and players unnecessarily at risk long after the final whistle. I look forward to hearing from you in this matter. Sincerely, Jalen Hurts. Now, the reason I thought this was fake at first is because it's exactly how it was written.
Yeah.
Like, what is the NFL and the football team going to do about it? I'll tell you what they're going to do about it, Jalen. First off, I don't think this is so much an NFL issue as I do think that it is a football team issue.
Yeah,
their
for sure.
Stadium, their insurance, like they're everything. They need to fix that. Also, fans, let me tell you something. I'm just as much a hardcore fan as anybody else about my favorite sports team. You want to know what I'm not going to do? Put at least 70% of my body weight over a barrier that looks suspect to begin with, just so I might be able to touch hands with a professional athlete.
Yeah.
Ooh, what a great story for you to tell. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I know everybody out there, I'm victim blaming a little bit. Sure, heat of the moment, they just won the game. You get all these crazy fans. I get it. But this is clearly just a football team issue. It's not an NFL issue. Jalen Hurts, I think his heart was in the right place with that letter, but I just think it was overdone, man. Now, I do think he might have done this to troll the football team a little bit because of how shitty the stadium is and the field is there, which brings us back to why we went off on this tangent a little bit to begin with, because as Germ said, that place is fucking awful. From sewage being 2 years in a row, sewage was being poured on to fans in the field. Last year when actual sewage was being poured on, and now a bucket of Eagle fans falling over and almost hitting Jalen Hurts. So
all the fans on that guardrail, you're all losers. It's Jalen Hurts. It's not Randall Cunningham. It's not Michael Vick. It's not Donovan McNabb. It's not Reggie White.
He's not those players.
Not yet. He's not them now. But you're all losers, okay? And I'm glad none of y'all got hurt. But Washington replied back saying, laugh out loud. No, you know what? You know how Washington replied? They said, hey, guys, we don't rape cheerleaders here anymore. But guess what? We have a new name, and we'll give it to you on Groundhog's Day. And guess what? It's either going to be the Commanders, the Red Hawks, the Defenders, Armada, or the Admirals. So we'll see. Now, Bert, I don't have my sound effects, but I'm going to be playing, just imagine in your head the Law and Order sound. You go and type in the Washington football team, and the URL for Washington Admirals pops up.
No way.
Now, everybody on the Twitter had already rushed to the same conclusion I did. Washington has since changed that, I believe. I read somewhere that it also did that for the Red Hawks. So, or was it Red Tails? It was one of the red names. It wasn't Red Wolves. Washington already said that they're not going to do the Red Wolves because Arkansas State's the Red Wolves. So there's split between keeping it the Washington football team, which I hate, the Washington Red Hogs, and the Washington Commanders. So we'll see. I'm not a fan of the Commanders or the Admirals or anything political like that. Red Hogs is cool. Red Tails. Red Hawks, Red Tails, Red Hogs, whatever, any version of red that you can get away with would be cool.
Yeah, because look, they're not changing their color scheme at all.
Now,
I think they should. I think they should. Honestly, but part of me when they say they're changing their name, I wanted them to go full reset and get away from the red title.
Yeah,
they could have done something so much cooler. But
now I will say, burgundy and gold is unique. There's not other, you know what I mean? So I'm cool. And I get that they, you know, that's their way of keeping it. Now they did show portions, sneak peeks of the new uniform. Now they look, it's hard to tell which way they're going, but they look pretty sharp in terms of the material. Now, the one thing I really like that they teased, NFL's going away from the one helmet rule, and you can have two helmets. Apparently they're going to have an all black helmet, black face mask, matte black helmet, which leads me to believe they're going to be the Admirals, because they're going to do like a military type helmet deal. A lot of teams are usually going to go back to their throwbacks. I know the Bills are going to go back to their 90s red helmet throwbacks next year. Tampa Bay is bringing back the creamsicles next year. So I do like Washington in this state. You know, I don't want everybody to go to a throwback. If you're going to have a secondary helmet, I'd like to see some different versions of the uniform, not just a throwback. Because some of your throwbacks suck. I mean, let's be real. So
some of them should have just stayed back. Yeah,
we don't want to bring them back at all.
But speaking of helmets, let's talk about a guy who had a helmet grievance last year and now completely lost his mind this year.
Yeah, 100%. Bert, simply put, what the fuck is Antonio Brown doing? What is he doing?
Man.
For those who don't know, Antonio Brown. Now, there's stories out there that he was hurt and they wanted him to go in the game. He didn't want to go in the game. They were arguing before the game. Something happened between him and Arians, and he refused to go. You know, he refused to. Then they were like, "All right, well, now you can go in the game." And then he didn't want to go in the game, and then it led to him taking off his gear while Mike Evans is pleading with him to not do it. And then he throws his stuff and he's doing jumping jacks and running in the end zone while his team is on the field. And he's waving and throwing the peace sign and leaves the stadium. Like, I don't understand, like, quitting mid-game, Bert. Explain it. Try to, anyway.
I want to. And regardless of what the story is, whether they, you know, that, like, dude, you're there for a team sport. So whether you wanted to play, but they sideline you because you were hurt, I don't know why they would. Like, why would you even dress for the game if that was the case? Or, you know, you didn't want to play, and then they said, you know, or they said no at first, and they said, yeah, go in, but then you're going to cop an attitude. Here's what it comes down to. I'll do this in two parts. One, it comes down to being an egomaniac, a prima donna, the Antonio Brown show. And the reason I say this is because we've now seen this with the third NFL team that has given him a chance.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, it didn't come out until late. And apparently he had some beef with Ben when Ben was on the decline. He even went on, what was it, like LeBron's HBO show or something, and called him out for it too. Then, you know, gets traded to the Raiders after he pulls that baby shit where, like, you know, he was suspended for the last game of the season 2 years ago with the Steelers, you know, went to the game, then decided to leave halfway through again, even though he wasn't playing. They didn't want to deal with it. They said, screw it, trade him to the Raiders. The Raiders, he pulls this shit where, oh, they're changing the helmet mandates. I like my old helmet. I'm going to be a baby about it, even though everybody else in the league seems to not have a problem with it. Going as far as to secretly recording conversations between him and John Gruden, releasing it, getting like stupid things. It's all about him. And meanwhile, this is outside of anything he's facing personally in terms of like misconduct or even legal charges of what's going on in his personal life, constantly videotaping himself, putting it on social media, putting people on blast, and just acting like a child. He gets a once in a lifetime chance to play with one of the greatest quarterbacks, if not the greatest quarterback to ever play the game. Got him a Super Bowl ring, and Tom got his 7th too. So basically brought him back. Tom said, hey, come play with me. Hands him a Super Bowl ring. Ends up catching a pass there too. Thought it was straightened out. Everything's going good. And then now, this year, we're talking about a guy that so far has faked a COVID vaccination card when he could have just said either I'm not vaccinated or yes, I'll go get vaccinated. Here's my card, but had a fraudulent card. And then now like just completely losing his mind and walking off. The only thing I can deduce is the fact that he's too much of an ego to be able to put it aside. And it's always got to be about him, what he wants, as opposed to the greater good of the team. And what's weird to me is we've seen both sides of this. We've seen when he can play nice with everybody else, and when he can win a Super Bowl with a team and play nice, but like certain things must get at him so much where he's just like, nah, I don't need this anymore. And I respect that. Like, do what you want, but this isn't the way to go about it.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, all this made me do this whole thing was scratch my head and go like something weird is going on. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in quitting your team. If you got beef, keep it to yourself. Don't go in, sit on the bench the whole time. Afterwards, if you're asked about it, feel free to share and then quit after the game. But to put on a spectacle like this, it's not me. But throughout all of this, the only thing it's made me done is love Tom Brady even more.
Yeah.
And because I was expecting a 20-year veteran like Tom Brady to play with so many different players and egos and people to come in. And Tom, as professional as can be, I was expecting him to absolutely rip into how like he thought it was unprofessional and like he doesn't understand it. Like, we have no room for that. Kind of like what Bruce Arians I know wanted to go into, but was just like, no, he's not a Buck anymore. That's the last part. Like he wanted to focus on the guys that actually played the game. But Tom was just like, look, man, I hope whatever he's going through, he gets the help that he needs, and really turning it into more of like, hey, you don't know what's currently going on or what's going on in AB's head or anything like that. And it was just like, yeah, like we've had some good times. We hope he gets help. There's always other friendships, and he'll leave it at that. And I was just like, damn it, Tom Brady, why do you have to make me like you? Like I want to hate you so bad. But he's right. We don't know, but we do know that he was constantly videotaping himself with like another Uber driver and going into the city and like even going out and flashing it up there. So it's like, I don't know, man.
He went to the Nets game the same night. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what do you?
He just doesn't care. He that's care. The thing. Anywhere he went, he was getting paid.
Yeah.
He was barely playing. He got a Super Bowl last year. He was barely even getting work with the talent they had in Tampa Bay. And I just think he was just like, yeah, I don't need this. So he's not going to the Hall of Fame. He could have if he kept on the same track he was for the first 8 years he was with Pittsburgh.
Yep.
But he just got in the way of himself. He is T.O.'s personality without being T.O. And if you don't have the skill to back it up or the Hall of Fame career that T.O. does, then you're nothing but a distraction.
I'm going to make Ty really upset about my take here because we've kind of talked about it, and I'm going to make a lot of people upset who are sensitive to mental health issues. But I hope Antonio Brown doesn't get help. I hope he doesn't deserve it. Help is for the people who want it. Help is for the people who show remorse. He quit not only on this team, he quit on the Raiders before the season even started.
Yeah.
He disrespected Mike Tomlin, recording Facebook cameos and shit during the game. As a black man, and I know a lot of people don't like race talk around here, but this is just how I feel. And this is me and Ty's one of our biggest conflicts that we have. As I hold black athletes and celebrities and anybody of black in power to a higher standard. Antonio Brown, given everything he was given in life, all the opportunity, the riches, the resources that he has to get help that he hasn't gotten, all of a sudden it's mental health when he gets kicked out off the team or something happens where they have to feel like they have to explain it to him. All you morons out there trying to bail out and shoot Antonio Brown bail, you're big as doof as he is. But while the rest of us are out here struggling in life, you waste your platform and your opportunity to make a difference. You get zero sympathy from me. You could go get hit by a fucking truck for all I care. I'd rather give that energy to people of color who deserve it. Antonio Brown doesn't deserve it. He's farting in people's doctors' faces while they're trying to clear him to play football. The doctor is there, hired by the team to try to get you a written statement saying, hey, he's good to go play football. And you're sitting there farting in his face. You're jacking off on therapist's back. You know what I mean? And everybody's sitting there, oh, there's no way he could have did it. Women lie, blah, 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 blah. Well, I don't know, man. The guy doing jumping jacks in the end zone after he takes his gear off in the middle of the game probably is able to do the things that he's been accused of doing. And so, no, I don't feel anything for Antonio Brown. Like, you don't get to play the mental health card, mental illness card, CTE card. I know a lot of people were joking that he hasn't been the same since Vaughn says. No, he was a nut job before that.
Yeah.
The only difference is he got money.
Yeah.
And money amplifies who you already are. He's entitled. Things didn't go his way. He became a luxury in Tampa Bay, so now he's acting out. He has to feel needed. He's a narcissist. It's all ego driven, like you were saying. No, I don't feel bad for you, man. Sorry, I don't at all. Go away and never come back. And I don't look. Mike's saying it right there. CTE is real. See, but you know what? he had the capacity. I don't want to hear about CT and mental health. Football is a hard sport. If he has the capacity to memorize a playbook on the 2 brand new teams, go out there and play professional football, if he has the capacity to do all the stuff after the fact, all of the antics, go and be so self-aware on social media, that means you have the capacity to go get the help that you need. You know what that tells me is that you don't want it.
Yeah.
So fuck off. Fuck off with your CT excuse and fuck off with your mental health crybaby bullshit. All right? That's not what it is. Mental health is real. But people who suffer from mental health don't do what Antonio Brown does. He continues to act out. He continues to do it because he thinks he's larger than life. And we've seen it there's plenty of athletes that do it. You said it right there, T.O. Terrell Owens he is the textbook definition of a wide receiver diva. Yes, he was a diva. Was he a saint? And he just wanted the damn ball. That was it. Yeah. He didn't do anything that Antonio Brown has done outside of the football field. T.O. was always the first. Did you say a lot of people don't like T.O.? He was always the first guy in, first guy out.
He worked like that's
he
the
worked
thing.
He worked his
didn't
ass
like
off.
his personality, but he never like you said, diva to the point where he wanted the ball. Right. He was a competitor. Like he wanted it because he knew he can make a difference. There's a difference between believing in your skills so much where you feel you're underutilized and you're frustrated because you want to play, you want to compete. T.O. would never pull this shit. He would never walk off because he wants to be in that game. And like, I mean, even to the press conference of him in his driveway, doing his sit-ups and showing everybody how physical fit he is. Like, he's a competitor. He would never pull this.
But that doesn't
for everyone stuff.
And think about how stupid we are and how well we overreact to that. He didn't hurt anybody doing that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it's just, it's so crazy. It's so crazy to look back at some of that stuff. And a lot of people owe T.O. an apology because I mean, think about what could have been. Because you look at Antonio Brown, I guess as a human being, I hope he gets the help he needs. He's never going to play football again. That's no way.
Case, right? We still don't know. I mean, everybody's just like, he might be going through something. Yeah, he might, but
I don't care.
I mean, nobody close to him has been like, yeah, he's been acting erratic or acting strange. I mean, Tom Brady was just nice enough at this point to say like, hey, I hope he gets help. We've had some good friendships. I mean, he took a very nice guy approach about it, but nobody else, at least to my knowledge, has come out and said, yeah, we've been worried about his behavior for a while or anything. And I'm not saying you need someone to do that, but it's not a good look to peace out on a game. And then, like you said, go into the Nets game that night and act like nothing ever happened. And then that Instagram post he had too. Yeah. Like, hey, thanks. Like, no, like
thanks.
You basically disgrace yourself at an organization. Like, so I don't understand what you're getting at.
And Tom Brady stuck his neck out not once but twice for you because he did it in New England, and you're acting up, and then all the stuff happened off the field, which got you out of New England. It's like, again, don't sit there and he's going through something. Like I said, he's a professional football player. If he can memorize a playbook, he's mentally capable to make the decision to say, hey man, I need to go talk to somebody. You know what I mean? He has the money, clearly has the money to do it. And now he has the time. So hopefully, if that's the case, he'll definitely go do it now, right? If that's what all you people are saying. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying he's self-aware. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he's never going to change. And it's amazing how many chances teams have given Antonio Brown, despite everything he's ever done. But not one team, Bert, has had the courage to even attempt to sign Colin Kaepernick. That's shit like that pisses me off. The cowards out there. You rather have a guy like Antonio Brown with all the bullshit he brings, and nobody had the guts to try to give Colin Kaepernick at least an opportunity to prove what everybody thinks about him, if he's good or bad or not. So I don't know. Fuck it. Moving on. Yeah. Bert.
Yes,
Ben
sir.
Roethlisberger, a lot of pop in circumstance last night. Almost made me forget that he's a rapist.
Almost, but never forget.
Never forget. So the QB, obviously the Steelers are going to need a QB next year. I highly doubt they're going to roll with Mason Rudolph. And I don't know if Duck Hodges is still there, but the QB of the Steelers in 2022 will be.
See, I honestly think they may roll with Mason. I think Dwayne Haskins is still on the depth chart somewhere too. But the only other individuals I could think about that potentially, I can't say potentially, but could go there. Russ Wilson, we know, will be shopping for a new home. Selfishly, I hope he goes to New York. Realistically, probably not going to happen. Another thing that popped in my head too is someone who's up there when it comes down to aging quarterbacks, and we know for a fact that the organization is going to do a full fucking reset. And that's Matt Ryan, the Atlanta Falcons. Now, Matt has not. at least to my knowledge, has not shown any inclination that he is going to hang it up after the end of the next season. And if the Falcons are smart, they're parting ways.
Yeah, for sure. It's over.
100%. So if I'm the Steelers, veteran quarterback, new home with weapons, let's see what could potentially happen if that's what they want to go for, and keep Mason Rudolph there to learn under Matt Ryan for at least that year and go from there. Kind of like, I guess, like the Kurt Warner, Eli Manning thing the Giants did when Eli first started too. But, I honestly, I don't, if it's not those two, I really didn't have anybody else in mind that I think could fit overall. I thought, honestly, they would just bump up Mason and see what happens. I don't know. What's your take?
So obviously there's the big three: Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson,
Deshaun, but I mean, I don't think
you would have to trade
down of football.
I don't think so either. Until anything's resolved, I don't think we're going to see him. Maybe it gets resolved this offseason. I'm assuming he would want it to. Mm-hmm. So unless you're going to get Russell Wilson, which is a good, interesting one, I don't think you want to give too much up for him. So it would have to be somebody who's signed. So I had to think about climate. It's hard to play in Pittsburgh, cold weather. Who's out there that already knows how to play in cold weather? Who's out there that has the athleticism where you wouldn't have to change the playbook much because can escape, but has a powerful enough arm to get it down to Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson? And there was one name that came to mind, buddy, and his name is Money Mitchell Trubisky.
No.
Money Mitch in Pittsburgh brought in. I do think they will draft a quarterback, and I think they will have a competition. And I think they would see if Dwayne's ready, and then he'll end up getting cut because he hasn't seen anything of the field. Even like they haven't even you haven't heard a peep about him.
No.
Matter of fact, I think Ben missed that 1 or 2 games, and Mason Rudolph played, and so it was like, all right. So they will whoever they draft, plus Mason Rudolph, and then Mitch in there, because like I said, he has this is interesting. Aaron Rodgers will be no. Aaron Rodgers is done with
wishful thinking.
Super wishful thinking.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, hey, don't sleep on San Francisco. I know that we just talked about Trey Lance and having to wait there and do the Brett Favre thing. Well, who's better there to be there for a year or two than Aaron Rodgers to teach Trey Lance? Don't sleep on San Francisco as a spot for them. But I really was thinking about it like, okay, you're not going to get any of the big names. Who's out there that can fit the mold? And like I said, Mitch has cold weather experience here in Buffalo, obviously in Chicago. He's a mobile-ish quarterback. Is more mobile than Ben, ever was. Even specifically like these recent years. And he has a rocket arm. That was like one of the big things about him. Like he could throw. It's just he had to work on his accuracy and his decision making. Buffalo has a really good look what they did with Josh Allen. Who knows what the hell they did with Mitch on the practice field? Just because he hasn't played in any games doesn't mean he hasn't improved as a quarterback. So, I think Mitch Trubisky is I try to be realistic about it. Like obviously Russell Wilson, you would have to trade. You know what I mean? It's not like Deshaun Watson. You have to trade for him. What are you giving up for that? Is he going to play? Matt Ryan. I don't know. To me, again, people will. I don't think Matt Ryan's any good, but whatever. It's obviously an upgrade from Duck Hodges, but what do you give up for a Matt Ryan? If you can get him for nothing, I guess, but then you're back in the same boat in another year or two. So I don't know. All right. I'm rooting for Money Mitch, so fuck it. But which NFL team changed your opinion of them this season? Yeah,
I picked one for the good and one for the bad.
Oh, okay.
We'll start with the bad. And honestly, they're a team that I selected to win their division, which was the Browns, because I believed in Baker and I thought OBJ was going to come back with his head right. And, Landry was going to be healthy and so on. And we saw some upside from them during the beginning of the season. Unfortunately, COVID injuries, it all played a factor. And of course, Odell's underperforming and his own personal issues, which he's now with another team. And Baker constantly not being healthy too. And that's another thing with Baker Mayfield. good quarterback or not. I don't think we'll ever know because he's always fighting something from an injury standpoint. But so, I mean, for me, I thought they showed some serious potential preseason and then even the first couple of weeks. And then unfortunately, it was just all downhill from there. And when I was looking at all of the teams, even the ones with like winning records that are heading to the playoffs, I was like, well, no, I mean, I kind of always pictured them being there. So when I took a step back, I was just like, yeah, it's got to be the Browns, man. They're now last in their division. And just honestly not who I thought they were.
Yeah.
Now for the better, I'm going with the Patriots.
Whoa.
I am.
No.
I mean, I don't think there's anybody outside of the general New England area that could have looked at their roster going into the season and thought, yeah, we'll get 10 wins.
Yeah.
I don't. And now they're competing for their division at the top. I mean, when you looked at this division, and I think we both did in our preseason preview, and it was the Bills winning it. We didn't think the competition would come from the Pats, especially after the atrocious year they had the year before, and with rookie quarterback Mac Jones there. I mean, what it was a shootout. We didn't know. Yes, we have faith in Bill Belichick. He's the greatest coach ever. But I mean, we saw the greatest coach ever, Coach Cam Newton, last year, and it was just trash. But I don't want to bring that up because we all know Germ's take on Cam Newton in itself.
Scam Newton.
So yeah, I mean, for the better, I think they're the ones that just actually shocked me. And a lot of people will be like, oh, their schedule and their division. Yeah, it's the same division as like the Bills, obviously, and the Jets and the Dolphins have to play too. And I wouldn't say it's an easy schedule by any means, but I mean, it's still competitive and it's still football and on any given Sunday. But yeah, so I think they're the ones that kind of shocked me a bit. It was just like, all right, I have to change my tune on them because they're competitors. They certainly are.
The answer is clearly the Cincinnati Bengals because I picked them to win the division. But
that's not changing your opinion of them, though,
Yeah, but they're also a lot better than I thought they were going to be.
Okay.
In terms of like, I picked them because I like Joe Burrow, but we remember Jamar Chase dropping all those passes in preseason. Remember Joe Mixon getting into his little bit of trouble. Like, I thought Joe Burrow was going to be the Tom Brady of that team and just will everybody and just be so amazing that they were going to win the division. But that team is like, they could beat anybody. They could beat my Bills. They beat the Chiefs. You know what I mean? They could beat anybody. So I had two in my head just in case because I honestly thought, and I'm surprised, and this team's kind of going under the radar because I thought you were going to do the Bengals. So I was like, let me have a backup. So my backup is the Tennessee Titans. We all thought that was a one-trick pony up there, and Mike Vrabel. When Derrick Henry went down, we wrote them off.
Yeah.
And, even last year when they were good, it was all Derrick Henry. It wasn't like, you know what I mean? It wasn't like they had anything else going on. Like Corey Davis was supposed to be the man. They traded him to New York Jets. AJ Brown didn't have the season that he was supposed to have. Now he's having a good season this year, but a team like that winning the way they are right now, Mike Vrabel being a Belichick disciple, and a lot of Belichick disciples don't go out and do well, made me change my mind. Like, wow, like that's old school coaching. Like it still works. You know what I mean? Like a lot of that. And so they made me change my opinion of them because I just thought the Titans are just Derrick Henry. If Derrick Henry goes down, they ain't shit. And they are. And now they're about to get him back. So now I'm scared as a Bills fan.
So what's I thought about the Titans, but I mean, no, honestly, they're kind of where I thought they would be. What's been weird is they've dropped some really shitty games to shitty teams this year.
But they also beat Jets, Houston, really good teams. Yeah.
I mean, the Steelers, not a terrible team, but certainly middle of the road. But yeah, but I mean, valid point. I was like, yeah, I get it. They're kind of where I thought they would be.
Yeah.
But man, when they dropped the game to the Jets and even Houston too, that was like shortly after they lost Derrick Henry. I was just like, oh no,
it's over. Yeah.
Like game over. But no, I mean, they were able to turn it around. I still don't think, I mean, look, we'll see what happens in the postseason, right? Another week away. Can't wait.
Let's throw the Lions in there too. I know they're 13-1, but they're competitive. People were gonna you look at the record, and it's easy to laugh at Dan Campbell, but people thought like they were just gonna fire this guy. It was gonna be a total disaster. They're just not talented enough to win, but like you can see it I find myself rooting for the Lions, which is like an odd, like rooting for the Lions.
Yeah.
It's an odd thing to say out loud, but I hope Dan Campbell wins. We've been big fans of what he's doing down there, not of the Lions per se, but of the coach, and hopefully he can get some success. I mean, it's opening up for him right now, right?
Yeah.
The Vikings are in turmoil. They're blaming Kirk Cousins, even though he's been
fucking understatement.
I mean, by all accounts, Kirk Cousins has been a top 10 quarterback. He's has a really good season this year.
He's been Kirk Cousins. I mean, what more do you want from him?
He's not, like I don't, but he's always in the top 10-ish in all the stats. Like but he gets treated like he's fucking, I don't know, Jared Goff. You know what I mean? Or he gets treated like he's like, he's like the worst quarterback. Like,
Daniel Jones. Let's go with Daniel Jones.
Sorry. We were just talking about the Lions. He was the only thing I thought about. But yeah, like he gets treated like he's Daniel Jones or some shit like that. You know what I mean? Or Baker Mayfield. Like enough. Their defense is trash. Their coach is trash. Aaron Rodgers is about to be out of there, and the Bears are the Bears. So I mean, the NFC North. The Lions can sneak in there, man, and do some things. All right, bro. Let's play some fair or foul real quick before we get up out of here. All right. Jaguar fans are planning a hilarious clown-themed protest during the 18-week finale. Apparently, there are at least 10,000 people already signed up to show up as clowns.
What are they protesting?
Just the Jag season. Just everything. Okay. They're protesting the Jag season. But is that fair or foul? Like I don't know. The season,
I mean, from the outside looking in, and these are fans, I think it's perfectly fair. Your season was a victim of a circus, whether we can call it a media circus or a front office circus. The decisions that were made, from who's going to be the head coach to who the head coach hired, has been all around circus-ish and laughable. I think that's absolutely hilarious. And I'm actually jealous. I'm looking to fly into Jacksonville this week. That sounds fun as hell.
That sounds fun. It sounds like it's going to be a good time. Bert, 0 losing seasons in 15 years. Mike Tomlin is the greatest coach of this generation.
It's completely fair. The biggest takeaway for me about any coach is you won't find the key to a good coach is not finding someone, a former player, anybody talk trash about you, no matter how good or how winning you are. And I haven't heard anything about Tomlin other than the fact that he is a great coach, great guy. And the fact that you have 15 winning seasons. Now, we know they're not all Super Bowl winning seasons, but that is impressive.
Yeah.
Very, very impressive, to say the least. So, yeah, fair. 1,000% fair.
Now, he has a couple of 8-8, so it's kind of a cheat, but the fact that he hasn't had a losing season, you know what I mean? It's
500 or better. That's the goal.
Yeah, he has. I think he has like 2 or 3. He had that weird. He has the tie this year, but so he's 8-7-1. So even if he loses the last game, he'll still not have a losing record. So, but it's like you said, 15 years. And since if that's true, that means that has to be true for Ben Roethlisberger too. So that adds to his legacy.
Yeah.
That he doesn't have any losing seasons. So shout out to Ben Roethlisberger. Shout out to Mike Tomlin. Because Roethlisberger didn't lose the first 3 years under Cowher. They got that Super Bowl, did they not? That first, one of them early ones. So
yeah, I think his second year they got it.
Second year, yeah. See, so all right. Terrell Owens says, "Do not compare me to Antonio Brown." A lot of people were comparing Antonio Brown to Terrell Owens, and T.O. said, "Don't compare me to him." Is that fair or foul?
I think that's fair.
Yeah,
we talked about it. Like,
I'm sorry, I asked that wrong. Is it fair or foul to compare Antonio Brown to Terrell Owens?
Foul.
Foul.
It's foul.
Okay.
I mean, for everything that we spoke about in itself, AB is a quitter, T.O. is a competitor. Like there's no comparison.
Ken Rosenthal, 12 years working for MLB Network, has been let go after his criticism of Rob Manfred in his latest article that came out a couple days ago. So, Bert, fair or foul? Rob Manfred is composed of bitch-made particles.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah, okay.
That's 1,000% fair.
Super fair. I don't like, and this just goes to more of the corruption in baseball, how we talk about the Hall of Fame process, the good old boys club.
Yeah.
Like Rob Manfred shouldn't have any influence and works at the MLB Network, and Ken Rosenthal is one of the best guys they got. So I mean, in terms of people know who he is. I don't watch a lot of baseball. I know who Ken Rosenthal is.
Oh, yeah, you do. The most dapper man's in baseball. When he's doing, field level interviews and shit like that. But what bothers me about this is journalists and media personnel have to bring a sense of truth to the fans. If you assume the people watching your product are nothing but brain dead idiots, then that's where you're going to lose fans and nobody's going to want to watch anymore. And, the likes of Rosenthal and other, like Buster Only and other media personnel, especially those that cover baseball, they want the truth. And when fans are noticing, all right, what are we going to get the juice balls this year? What's happening here? Like, what is Manfred do? Like, no, expect criticism. You are a figurehead. You're the head of a major sports league. Expect the criticism. And if it comes from somebody that works at the network that you technically own or run, who cares? That's being impartial. They have other news organizations that have to cover news on their own organizations or their own journalists, and they do so fairly. So I think, look, it's something that had to come of it, and this just honestly seems like a bitch cop out on Manfred's part. And I mean, honestly, we'll go into Ken gets my game ball this week, and I'll explain why during that segment coming up. But I think this is for the better. Yeah, look, my game ball, Ken Rosenthal. Here's why: stuck to his guns. Faced the criticism head on. He knew what he was doing. Did he know this was going to be the outcome? No, he did not. He's a man of the people. He gets my game ball for not only standing up to it, but also not letting the man bring him down. And guess what? Ken's going to get a payday because someone is going to scoop him up and pay him a lot of money solely for his knowledge, his contacts, and the fact that players, managers, front offices, professionals in the baseball world will pick up the phone when he calls. So, I mean, MLB Network, very dumb move on their part.
Yeah, I had one for Tracy McGrady starting a one-on-one basketball league, but that was before I found out about this story that hit our group chat.
Oh yeah,
Nadia Popovici is getting a $10,000 scholarship to medical school. She's a Kraken fan who attended a Canucks game, sat behind the Canucks bench, and noticed one of their assistant coaches had a mole on the back of his neck. And she frantically tapped on the glass to get his attention and let him know that, hey, that mole is not a mole. It's cancer. And credit to him for actually going to check it out. Gets it checked out, and it is cancer, and they get rid of it. He's perfectly fine. Now they're paying her $10,000 to finish medical school, which is an awesome story. She went to the Canucks facility to meet him after the procedure, and get her $10,000 check and just have that whole experience. But she showed up in her Kraken jersey, which I think is awesome. It's just that's
what's
fun.
Funny is so I was reading up on her a little bit, and her family were actually I think they're Canucks fans. So I think she lives in Seattle. So, I mean, obviously being that close and being West Coast, they didn't have a hockey team there until this season. So I think she grew up a Canucks fan, but when the Kraken moved in and the fact that it's her hometown, she was like, well, let me give it a ship. And when they did meet, she was in a Canucks sweater. Excuse me, a Kraken sweater. Yeah. And even the assistant equipment manager was just like, "We're gonna have to get you in New Jersey." That's what she was like. Yeah, I grew up a Canucks fan, but no, it's funny. Look, good for her. Hockey saves lives. Go watch a hockey game. You never know what doctors in the audience who can help you get checked out. But man, like the severity of this is huge. Like when he went and got it checked out, the doctor said, if you waited too long, meaning he said 2 years from now, this would have been a very, very somber conversation, meaning this would have been deadly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I give her the credit because she must have seemed like an absolute psychopath, like trying to get his attention and writing that message to him on the phone and holding it against the glass. But then instead of brushing it off as someone like a crazy, he actually did follow through and get it checked out. So, I mean, you never know. Just go get it checked. It's
if you have any marks on your body that you just happen to, and I'm not going to pretend to know I know what every mark on my body is, but if I notice one, pay attention if you haven't noticed it before and see if it changes. If it changes at all in a couple months or a year, hey, go get it checked out because you never know. And if you weirded out about it, just go get everything checked. There's no harm in it. That's what we have. That's what we have hospitals and insurance and all that good stuff for. And
I go to the dermatologist. I'm just like, yo, what's up?
Yep, showed up. I'm in the lobby, butt ass, ready to go.
Just start turning slowly.
Yep,
Sir, this is a McDonald's drive. I need you to. Oh, sorry.
Oh my God. Next week, well, JT and the Don will join our show. Shout out to them at JT and the Don on Instagram.
To them, and their platform and what they're doing. But shout out to them for winning our fantasy football league, the show, the
bragging rights.
Bragging rights. Thank you. Yeah,
they're the inaugural bragging rights champions. They will. I don't know which one of them is actually running it, but we'll give them credit to both of the show. For the whole show. So we're going to have them on the show next week. It's going to be a good time. I'm not sure. Obviously, it'll be NFL playoff heavy since we'll be gearing up for that. And so look forward to that, man. And until then,
early playoff predictions, I think.
Way too early playoff predictions. Probably some over-under properly rated. And we'll come up with maybe a little drafty thing, something like that. We'll figure it out. But until then.
What about the bucket of doom?
Oh, yeah. Mike lost the bucket of doom. He's going to be eating an onion. But I think I'd rather him panhandle. I think that's a funnier punishment, but then we would have to get somebody else to like film him doing it, like pictures, or like, hey, honk at me because I lost fantasy football. Like I like one of those too. But Ty eating an onion is easy because Ty's like part goat now, and he eats tree bark, and I don't think that that's a good punishment for him. I would love to see Mike eat an onion. That would be fantastic. So we'll see. We'll put it to a vote with the Shot Boys, and we'll see what kind of punishment we can get Mike on here to do.
And then with the postseason, we got the Bucket of Doom playoff series, right? Is that filled yet, or we still need spots?
We need spots. So we have there's 13 spots available, or there's 13 spots total. I think I need like 6 more spots. So the drawing for that will be next week. I haven't really promoted it much because I'm in Facebook jail, but I'll be out of Facebook jail Thursday morning early. So I'll panhandle money goes to Special Olympics. I ain't eating shit. Hey, whatever you got to do, man. Go out. You got to pan. The punishment is
you don't get to decide, Mike.
Yeah, you don't get to decide, Mike. Yeah. You're going to eat an onion. If you want to panhandle, go ahead and panhandle. But you're also eating an onion, and you got to do that before. And
you don't have to panhandle for money. We can have strangers give you other things like lint from their pockets, used condoms, anything.
Yes,
really.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I might have to fly out for that one.